Nvidia has just broken out on the weekly time frame, and honestly, this is one of those moments you want to zoom out and pay attention to, because when you look at this properly, this isn't just a small move on a lower time frame, this is a proper structural breakout on the weekly chart. So the question is pretty simple right now: is this the start of the next major move higher, or are people once again getting caught chasing strength at the wrong time? So just to give you a little bit of context, Nvidia is basically the backbone of the entire AI trade. So they're the company powering most of the infrastructure, such as AI models, data centers, large scale compute. So when Nvidia moves, it usually tells you something about the broader trend, not just Nvidia itself. So just to be clear, I actually covered Nvidia in my top 3 stocks to buy in April 2026, about 2 or 3 weeks ago now, and since then we've seen an 18% gain. So I've been covering Nvidia for about 18 months now, and this is more of a idea that's starting to play out rather than a brand new setup. So in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly what you should be doing if you have a position, or if you're looking to get a brand new entry on this move higher. So the reason why this matters the most is because when you get a breakout on a weekly time frame, it's no longer just a small breakout. This is something what's been building for the last few months. I mean, this is going back to November of last year. So we've moved sideways for about 6 months now, and you'll have a lot of people who are accumulating for the long term, and then you'll have the traders who are setting targets around $400, $500. So you basically get one of two things. You either get a continuation going to $500, then we get a pullback, or we see an immediate snapback. First, let's look at the bull case. Why is Nvidia going to $500 or $1,000 over the next few months? And one of the main reasons what is quite obvious, AI demand is still incredibly strong. So there was a lot of speculation a few months ago about major companies spending less, but that evidently hasn't happened. So they're still spending heavy on infrastructure. Nvidia is still sitting right in the middle of that, dominating the market in every area possible. So structurally, the trend is still very much intact, and there's no reason for Nvidia to start dropping back as of yet. If anything, this is showing that the AI bubble isn't about to burst, and it's starting to pick up again after a period of consolidation. But at the same time, you do have to respect the other side. So when a stock has already moved as much as Nvidia has, it's not necessary that the trend's going to finish, but it's basically when the volatility starts picking up again, you have to be prepared for a 30%, 40% worst case scenario pullback. Something what could cause that would be Iran and US starting to pick up again. I know at the moment they've somewhat opened the straits, closed the straits, opened the straits.
Now, having opened the straits on Friday for commercial vessels, as Noga mentioned, Iran has now moved to close the crucial channel once again. State media has accused the United States of so-called piracy after Donald Trump announced that naval blockade. The IRGC has added that Washington did not fulfill its obligations and that any ship approaching the straits will now be targeted until the US blockade is over.
So it's definitely a riskier time to invest. But right now, from a geopolitical point of view, there isn't really any red flags which are telling me to close my positions, especially in AI. We've broken above a key weekly resistance, and now the question is whether we can hold above it. If it does, the trend likely continues going into the later stages of Q2, maybe Q3. If it doesn't, then we probably have to rotate back to the support and then retest where we've been for the last 6 months before potentially another move higher after that. So I'm not trying to overcomplicate this. It's basically how the price moves over the next couple of weeks. Nvidia does have an earnings report in the middle of May, so potentially can see volatility start increasing around that time again. Personally, I'm not aggressively chasing this move at the moment, but I'm also not ignoring it, because when you look at any chart, when you see a strong trend like this and you see the breakout, there's almost always a chance to get an entry on the pullback. So for me, it's more about waiting for how we react over the next couple of weeks, like I just mentioned, rather than chasing this move. So looking at the price, we're touching $200. For me personally, I think we're going to see $250, $300 over the next 3 to 6 months, especially after the next earnings report. So is it a good time to close out? Probably not. Not unless you've been holding over the last year and you're starting to take some profit. Is it a good time to enter? Again, probably not, on the principle that we've just broken out on a weekly, and 95% of the time we do drop back and test the breakout before moving higher. If you haven't got a position, it could be a good time to add some liquidity. into the market around the $200 mark if you're happy to hold long term. If you're just trying to chase a 20%, 30% move, I would personally wait until we retest 170, 165 again. So overall, my view is still pretty balanced. In the short term, I think it's quite a dangerous game to be chasing this move, but in the long term, the trend is still clearly bullish. And for me, I see absolutely no reason for you to be closing out any of your Nvidia position at this point on a breakout. At least wait for a pullback before you reassess and maybe close out a position. Like I said, the earning report is next month. Let's see how that goes. If again it breaks expectations, which is somewhat expected at this point, again we could see another move higher. So if you're interested in stocks, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.